Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Aligned Wellness Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Torrie Thompson, and this week we're going to dive into something that I think a lot of people struggle with, and it's something that there's so much information on the internet, it can be impossible to try to figure out what to do, what will work for you, and that is when you're struggling to lose weight. You're trying everything and you don't know what to do. So we're going to dive into weight loss mistakes that we see, and it's not just calories in and calories out. It is far more complex than that. I'd say a good majority of the people that come and work with us and do our programs, one of their main complaints is inability to lose weight. And through working with us, they realize that it's really not about just what they're eating or their exercise routine. It's actually much, much deeper than that. So one of the biggest mistakes that we see people make is that they don't look at their toxin load. So we were never, supposed to be able to handle this level of a toxic exposure on a day-to-day basis. We get exposed through the polluted air, through contaminated water, through our fragrances, our cleaning products, our shampoo, our conditioner. All of these things have the potential to house toxins. And when that happens, when you get exposed to too many toxins, and for most of us, it's years and years and years of exposure, what can happen is we start to accumulate toxins and the body starts holding on to toxins. And when it becomes too much for the body to detox and move out through our natural detox pathways, what the body will do is it will actually start storing toxins in our fat cells. And when you start holding on to toxins in your fat cells, your body really can't let go of that fat cell because there's toxins in it. And so often, one of the key pieces of actually losing weight is looking at, do you have a bunch of toxins sitting in your system that need to be detoxed out so that your body can get back to a state of balance? The other angle of toxins is many of them are hormone disruptors. Many of them will alter estrogen pathways and many of our hormones. And so when our hormones get off, it can make it even harder to try to lose weight because your hormones are very out of balance and the body will hold on to weight. The next thing is thinking that all calories are created equal. I remember the days of the 100-calorie snack packs and many of the low-calorie, low-fat products, but they contain just crazy artificial ingredients and they weren't real food. So one of the mistakes that we see people making is they are eating, a calorie amount that should be allowing them to lose weight, but it's not real food. It's not, you can't compare 500 calories of broccoli to 500 calories of cookies. They don't do the same thing to the body. And so the micronutrients of the food really do matter. It matters what you're eating. Are you eating protein and fats and vegetables, or are you eating a high sugar, high processed diet? And so you really have to look at what you're eating over the course of a day and look at, can you alter it and make it, maybe you're not changing the calories, but you're changing your micronutrient count. And so if you're someone that's eating a diet high in sugar, it often is going to, cause our blood sugar to be high. When our blood sugar is high, we're going to have to release a bunch of insulin. And when you do that for a prolonged period of time, we can end up in a place called insulin resistance. And when we are insulin resistant, it is very, very hard to lose weight. So you really want to look at your plate, look at all of your plates and see, what are you actually eating? Is your diet really focused around protein, fats, and fruits and veggies, or is it more on the processed side? Calories that really don't matter. When you're comparing them, if you're eating 1,300 calories of processed food per day versus 1,300 calories of real food, again, they're going to do completely different things to our body. The next thing is prolonged fasting. Fasting has been the craze, the cure-all of everything, right? If you just fast for 16 or 18 hours, you're going to lose a bunch of weight. But what we don't often talk about is how metabolically sound you need to be able to be for that prolonged fast, not to actually cause more issues or potentially cause more issues than it's intended to. And so especially women, when we fast for too long, what can happen is it's your blood sugar will drop, right? You don't have enough, you haven't eaten anything, so you don't have any glucose, so your blood sugar is going to drop. And what can happen is your body is going to have to try to keep your blood sugar up. So what it will do is actually raise cortisol to raise your blood sugar. The problem is if our cortisol goes up, this is actually going to tell the body to store fat. When we have cortisol, high cortisol and cortisol imbalances, it actually can tell the body, hey, hold on to fat. This is a stress hormone. And if you were being chased by a bear, you would want your body to hold on to fuel. We're not being chased by a bear. It's just sometimes these prolonged fasts can actually be too stressful on the body. Prolonged fast can also downshift or downregulate the thyroid if it's too stressful, if your body thinks food is scarce. And then some people, because of the cortisol and hormone imbalances when they do eat, so then you're in a state that's more prone to holding on to fat, and then you're eating excess calories, which again can cause us to hold on to weight. In fact, women, prolonged fasting has been shown to decrease thyroid T3 hormone, which can slow our metabolism. In men, we don't see as dramatic as effect as women. However, if you're not metabolically sound, it can be stressful on the body. So you want your metabolism to be able to do those prolonged fasts, and often that comes from really getting your body in tip-top shape. So what you can do instead is keep your fast to 12 hours, not having, eating dinner by 6:30, and then, by 6:30 to 8, you're eating breakfast. You want to eat within 30 to 60 minutes of eating. And then this is the asterisk, big red flag. Remember this of anything else. Don't drink coffee on an empty stomach coming out of a fast. What coffee can do is coffee can actually get you to raise cortisol. Again, it's a stimulant, and all those things that we talked about can happen. So don't drink your coffee without putting food into your body. I want a little bit of food, then you can have your coffee. The next is probably the most common mistake that we see, and that is doing a ton of cardio or going to an Orange Theory class or a high intensity class. And people think sweat more, burn more calories, they're going to lose more fat. And yes, that kind of is true. However, if it's too stressful on your body, which for a lot of people it is, again, you start rising your cortisol levels and holding on to fat. So if you get your heart rate, it's especially in sustained cardio, so this is like spin class or running long distance or a high intensity class that's just too hard for you, it can spike your cortisol. So it's going to spike that cortisol, that stress response, going to keep us in fight or flight. And then that is going to tell us, hey, we're going to hold on to belly fat in particular. It's going to hold on to fat. And then when these workouts are also too hard, we're going to start to break down our muscle. And our muscle is actually what helps us keep our metabolism up. So for women, I never recommend right out the gate going and doing spin class or running or a high intensity class that involves a treadmill or rowing or anything like that. Start with walking. Start with yoga, start with stretching or weights, things that don't get your heart rate up, and keep it up for a sustained period of time, because then again, you can have these benefits of exercise, but you're not stressing your body out. What most people don't realize is muscle tissue burns 3 to 5 times more calories at rest than fat tissue. So building your muscle and strength training actually will help increase your metabolism to burn more just by doing nothing. So strength training is probably the number one. Having muscle on your body is key. It's key for so many things. It's key for our blood sugar regulation. Our excess glucose gets stored in muscle as glycogen. It helps our metabolism. It helps our hormones. It helps, strength training is shown to help keep our bones strong. So it is one of the most underrated things, and people don't think of that when they're trying to lose weight, but it is the most important thing we can add in. And then you can do walks daily. Go on a walk after dinner. Go on a walk at a lunch break, but just move. It doesn't need to be running. It doesn't need to be spinning. The next one is not looking at your inflammation levels. And weight loss, yes, it is about fat, but often for many of us, it's actually what is our inflammation? And inflammation can cause fluid retention. And often people look kind of puffy when they're really inflamed, but inflammation can cause fatigue, it can cause cravings, but it's the body in protection mode often. And so our sources of inflammation in today's times would be a processed food diet. So that's processed foods, chips, breads, pastas, sugary things, sodas, alcohol. Really, our American diet is really set to be pro-inflammatory. This can be gut imbalances, whether it's leaky gut, it's bacterial overgrowth, parasites, mold. It can be environmental toxins. And for many of us, this is a huge factor. And that's from our shampoos, our conditioners, our cleaning products, our water, our food. And so when we have all these things in our system, it can build up our systemic inflammation. So you can look at systemic inflammation. You can look at high sensitivity CRP. Your doctor probably runs this every year. And ideally, you want to be below 1. And so look at this and see where you're at. Where is your systemic inflammation? Is your CRP below 1 or are you elevated? And if you're elevated, you have to figure out what is causing this inflammation. Is it your food? Is it your stress? Is it your sleep? Is it your toxic load? All of these things need to be looked at. But we can really start to lower our inflammation by eating a clean diet, eating fruits, vegetables, proteins, fats, getting good sleep, managing our stress, and then also looking at the toxic exposure in our homes and cleaning up our guts. And then this is the big guy. So looking at our hormones. So often people won't actually look at their hormones and just want to lose weight, but don't look at any of the hormones involved in losing weight. So we've got some key players. So you've got insulin. Insulin regulates your blood sugar. It basically pulls the glucose in to be used by the cell, and it will block fat burning when it's elevated. Again, when you get to that insulin resistant state with chronic high blood sugar, insulin's high, you get to where you can't burn fat. Then we've got leptin. Leptin is the hormone that tells us that we are full. Some people get leptin resistant, and this can lead to overeating because if no one's telling you you're full, it's easy to overeat. Then we've got cortisol. Cortisol is produced by the adrenals. It's our stress hormone. And when cortisol stays high, we hold on to fat, especially around our belly. Then we've got our thyroid hormones. There's many of them, and they are going to be the control center of our metabolism. Hypothyroid, a sluggish thyroid, we tend to hold on to weight. Hyperthyroid, too speedy of a thyroid, you tend to lose weight. And then we've got our sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone really are the big two in terms of metabolism, and imbalance of these can lead to fat storage, especially around the midsection and hips and thighs. The good news is these can be tested. You can ask your doctor to run these levels and see where you are. Where are your levels? And you can see, are there imbalances? And if so, you can start to, figure out how to reset them, how to improve them, what you can do to heal these thyroids. But some of the kind of underlying themes that all of these hormones have in common is we have to balance our blood sugar. When your blood sugar is out of balance, it gets high, it crashes down, we tend to set ourselves up for crazy hormonal imbalances, and really all of them. So really having a clean diet, lots of protein, good fats, and then having vegetables, and complex carbs, so not quick burning carbs like bread and rice and pasta, unless there is fat and protein also there. Managing our stress. Again, if your stress hormones are high, it's very, very hard to lose weight. Your body isn't going to want to let go of it. We need to get good sleep. If we're not well rested, the hormones can get off. And then again, sometimes it's digging deeper, looking at these labs. So having your doctor run all of the hormone labs. If your doctor won't, you can use something like Any Lab Test Now and Quest now allow you to order your own labs and see your own results. And then you can do things like looking at stool testing or doing toxin testing to see, are there toxins in your body? What does your gut look like? Can you improve your hormones through those means as well? One of the things to remember in terms of losing weight is there is no quick fix. Anything that promises you a quick fix, a very, very restricted calorie diet or crazy exercise or any means that is a quick fix is generally not going to be one that lasts and can actually cause far more harm than good. So you really want to remember that getting your weight balanced and getting to a weight that your body is happy with and that you're happy with comes down to really getting all of these factors dialed in, eating really well. And that's not not something that you can do for a little bit and then go back to how you're eating. It truly is lifestyle changes. So getting adequate amounts of protein, we want, basically 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal weight. Generally comes out to 20 to 30 grams of protein per day for a person. We want no caffeine on an empty stomach. That is, I wish I could just say that over and over and over and over and over again. That is a game changer for a lot of people, is not having caffeine on an empty stomach. Changing your exercise, building muscle instead of high intensity cardio, and instead of HIIT, we want to do strength training and gentle movement, walking, stretching, yoga, that kind of stuff. Drinking plenty of water, getting good sleep, and then really focusing on lasting changes. So again, have your doctor order those labs, or you can do it through those companies mentioned, and then start to rebalance the body. If you can get your blood sugar in balance, if you can get your metabolic hormones in balance, get your toxic load down so your hormones, your sex hormones can balance, it really can set you up for being able to lose weight and maintain it easy. It shouldn't have to be this, I'm going to eat nothing, it's this super restricted diet. You should be able to enjoy and eat really good foods, but have your lifestyle pretty dialed in so that it's not super restrictive or, I could only eat chicken and steamed broccoli. That is not the goal by any means. You still want to enjoy. So hopefully you can really start to, dive into metabolism and see what you can do to get your metabolism a little bit better and get that lasting weight loss that is easy to maintain. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you next week.